1. Good morning, I'm Meteorologist Brandon Lawrence here at Local 5, bringing you a live update on Facebook, on YouTube, on weareiowa.com with information about today's winter storm and what this means for not just Des Moines, but for our entire state, for all of Iowa. Hopefully you'll be able to join us here for a few minutes as we talk about what to expect in the forecast, what not to expect, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments on Facebook. I've got my phone here. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. So I do want to start with what we've got warnings and advisories wise. We've got a winter storm warning in northern Iowa that actually has already begun and will go through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's in pink, and then we have a winter weather advisory. That's in purple, and that extends down to Carroll, Jefferson, Boone, Ames, Nevada, Marshalltown, and Tama. The difference between the winter storm warning and the winter weather advisory is simply that the area under the winter storm warning will likely see more severe winter weather. So again, that's Mason City, Algona, Emmitsburg, Spencer, all the way up into far northwest Iowa. The area under the winter weather advisory can still expect some winter weather, but it might not be quite as significant. And then areas that are not under any kind of warning or advisory, it doesn't mean we won't see winter weather in those areas. The impacts will just be lower. And of course, that does include Des Moines and the metro area. Here's what's happening on Doppler radar right now. Not a whole lot. We haven't really seen the activity get going just yet, even though we've got some snow picking up here on Doppler radar right now from Sioux City back to Fort Dodge. That is where we are starting to see snow overcoming dry air at the surface, because what's happening right now is there's a layer of dry air close to the ground that essentially prevents rain and snow from falling and reaching us. It does fall, but it evaporates before it gets here. As we get more moisture in the atmosphere throughout the day, as we get more saturated, we will see a better shot at that snow and that rain overcoming the dry air. And that's what's already happened back in Nebraska, South Dakota, into Minnesota. The snow is falling in those areas from North Platte, Nebraska, or just north of there, up into South Dakota, all the way to I-29 and I-90, and then back into Minnesota, south of the Twin Cities right now. So in Iowa, it may not currently be snowing, but we will get there. It will eventually change over in northern Iowa between 6 a.m. and noon. So obviously it's what, 10:18 right now, almost 10:20. It is continuing to fill in slowly but surely, and at noon is when I really expect that northwest part of the state to start seeing the activity. And as we go farther and farther into the day, it becomes more likely for central and eastern Iowa. Des Moines is right here in this teal color, and that is not until 8 p.m. to midnight. And realistically, looking at the Des Moines metro, I don't think we will see any snow in Des Moines until probably after 10 p.m. So it will be certainly a little while. Trying to pull up some comments here, that way I can see what your comments are after midnight for areas in eastern Iowa. So this is our FUTURECAST, where we will essentially walk through what's going on. At noon today, I expect that we will start to see rain showers overcoming that dry air in central Iowa, so not very far off from now. I don't know that the rain will be this widespread. However, we will have some sporadic showers, and the snow is really starting to overcome dry air in northwest Iowa too. Now this is 2 p.m. where we may see that rain transitioning to snow in north central Iowa, and that turns into a mixed bag of mess. That could include some sleet, it could include some freezing rain, and that's why we have a bit of concern for a glazing or some minor ice accumulations north of Des Moines. And then we will see that snow just really continuing up in northwest Iowa. This is 5 p.m. when some of the darkest blue colors show up on the map in northwest Iowa. That's where we will have the heavier snowfall, and it will continue through the evening. And then watch the timing here. This is 12 a.m., midnight tonight. We still expect that snow is west and northwest of Des Moines. It'll be after midnight when it passes through central Iowa and eventually into eastern Iowa. This would be 3 o'clock in the morning. The farther south we go, the less likely snow accumulation will be. We've had a difficult time pinpointing exactly how far south the bands of snow would reach. Realistically, I think the Des Moines Metro is that cutoff, which makes the Metro forecast pretty challenging. Clouds will clear out, and then tomorrow's a quiet day. It'll be a little breezy on Saturday. So as far as snow accumulations go, I'm forecasting a trace to 2 inches of snow in Des Moines. A trace being not much of anything up to 2 inches. I honestly think the Des Moines Metro will get about an inch and maybe a little bit less. I don't expect this to be a big snowfall for Des Moines. I'm simply going up to 2 inches, just depending on how much moisture we get on the northern side of the Metro. Higher totals would be more likely in areas like Polk City or Ankeny or Alleman as compared to areas that are farther to the south like Norwalk and where the airport is. We do expect that southern Iowa may get a dusting at best. I even think areas like Ottumwa, Centerville may not get any snow at all. Farther to the north, higher totals are expected, about 2 to 4, 2 to 5 inches from Carroll to Fort Dodge, and the highest totals are still in northwestern Iowa, Spencer, Algona, Emmitsburg, all the way up to, we'll say, Cherokee and even Pocahontas, some higher totals there, about 3 to 6, 3 to 7 in Mason City. So a closer view of that, kind of a more zoomed in view of our particular area, doesn't show that this is a big snowfall. Again, along and north of I-80 is where we have the best shot at seeing any accumulation. You go south of I-80 and I might even be overdoing it with less than an inch of snow. It might not snow much at all in Sheraton, Oskaloosa, Lamoni, or even Centerville or Ottumwa. Don't expect much down there. I do think, though, that in Des Moines, we probably will get our first measurable snow of the season. In order to get measurable snow, all we need is 1/10 of an inch or snow, and that's about it. So if we get 1/10 of an inch, we count it as measurable snow. I'm just pulling up a couple of comments. Lynn says, I'm in Williams, north of Ames. Dry here so far. That'll be changing as we go through the day. Good morning, Fred. Says, how much for Ames? Fred, realistically, about 1/2 inch to maybe 1.5 inches in Ames. I have 1 to 2 here. I probably could relabel that as a trace to 2 inches. So this is not a big snowfall for Ames, but all it takes is a little bit of snow and ice to create slick conditions. So if you've got travel plans today, I-80 in either direction, rain showers will be possible. Doesn't mean it'll be severe, but if you're headed out towards eastern Iowa on I-80, maybe you're headed towards Cedar Rapids or Iowa City or the Quad Cities, rain showers are possible there. Farther west, similar type thing, although some snow will fill in on I-80 later this evening out towards Council Bluffs and Omaha. Icy and snowy spots are most likely on the northern side of I-35, close to that Minnesota border. We're talking Mason City, Clear Lake, Williams, those areas. And then snow will develop on I-29 as well, mainly north of Council Bluffs. I actually think it'll be closer to Sioux City and Sergeant Bluff up to that South Dakota border. So to recap all of this, snow will be most likely in central Iowa by tonight. In Des Moines, any of the snow that we see comes in after 10 p.m. and should wrap up by 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The heaviest snow expected across northwest Iowa with lighter amounts to the south and east, and then it will turn a little bit windier later in the day with gusts later on tonight, potentially reaching 40 miles per hour. In Des Moines, this is generally what I expect through the day. We peak at about 39, 40 degrees for temperatures, not a major change. There's a lot of cloud cover overhead, and often on rain showers will develop. And you'll see here on our planner that we may not actually see that snow mixing in until late tonight. Notice by 10 o'clock and midnight, we start to see that snow icon popping up here. So it is a late night thing for us. Then we have the ice concerns north and west of Des Moines. I think that we could see a minor glazing of ice because road temperatures will be at or below 32 degrees in some cases. And if that surface temperature is at or below freezing, any rain that falls could create a glazing of ice. We saw that yesterday morning up in north central Iowa, quickly caused some accidents. We could see that same type thing later on in the day today. 1/100th of an inch of ice doesn't seem like very much, but it is enough to create slick spots from Ames to Carroll, back to Fort Dodge, up to Mason City. That also includes Webster City, Humboldt, Pocahontas. It includes Iowa Falls, Hampton, Eldora, and even down into Des Moines. If those temperatures drop and we still have some rain later this evening, we could get a little glazing there too. Now, this is quite an active setup that we've got across the country. We have this massive low pressure system that is bringing that snow to the Dakotas, Nebraska, us here in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, back to the UP of Michigan. This is the other element of this storm that is farther to our south, where severe weather will be possible. In fact, a level 1 risk for severe weather. I don't think we'll see anything in Iowa. To be honest with you, I think they were just drawing the circle so that it looked evenly. But in St. Louis, down in Missouri, down in Illinois, there is a threat for severe weather. That's an enhanced risk, a level 3. They could be looking at damaging winds, hail, and even the possibility of tornadoes. Underneath where I have the word stormy, it looks like they've upgraded that to a level 4, a moderate risk for areas like Memphis and southern Illinois and Missouri. So this is just a crazy storm system that, of course, we are on the cold side. So that's why we're getting the wintry weather with this. We also do have the potential for strong winds, gusting between 25 and 30 miles per hour through the afternoon. The wind may subside briefly by late afternoon and evening, but then tonight it really picks up again, and those gusts overnight could be as high as 40 miles per hour. So as we get those strong winds and we have snow falling, that could create blowing snow, and it will be breezy tomorrow. I will tell you this, whatever snow falls won't be lasting very long on the ground, because tomorrow I think we will have sunshine in Des Moines. We get to 41 for a high, so regardless of how much accumulation we get, we may see it first thing tomorrow morning, have some slippery roads early on Saturday, and I bet by Saturday afternoon some of that will already be gone. And if it doesn't all go away on Saturday, Sunday it will. A lot of sunshine's coming our way, and we get to 51 degrees. So that is kind of a general overview of what to expect. Fred says, keep it all north. Hi, Susan. You're welcome. Carrie says, I hate ice on roads. I agree with you, Carrie. If we just had snow to deal with and we didn't have the icing concerns, that would be better for us. But we do have that potential for a little glaze or a little ice there. So I do want to briefly, before we wrap up our live stream, I'm going to roll back here and just show you one more time what we've got on radar right now. Let's see if it'll go all the way back. So this is Doppler radar, and we've got a lot of dry air. Now we see that rain showers are trying to develop across the south, and snow is trying to develop across northwestern Iowa. Eventually, this will overcome some of that dry air near the surface, and we will see that snow filling in. It's already doing so from Nebraska to South Dakota, back into Minnesota. I have been keeping a close watch on our road conditions across the state of Iowa. So far, no problems being reported, but in the next hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, this in northwestern Iowa will start to reach the ground, and we will start to see some impacts on our roadways up in that part of the state. I do want to encourage you to stick with our team as we go through the day. Brad, Taylor, and Dave will be here later in the day, keeping you on top of what's going on with this winter storm. Dave and Taylor will be headed up to where the snow is falling, and Brad will be here to answer your questions, to give you the updates at 5, 6, 9, and 10. In the meantime, I encourage you to download our We Are Iowa app. Maybe you're watching on the app. If not, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, get our app. It's totally free. It's in the App Store and Google Play Store, and you can download that, see our forecast hour by hour, and if there's an alert or there's some sort of change in your area, let's say they expand the winter weather advisory or the winter storm warning, you would get notified of that if you just plug in your zip code for your specific location. So I encourage you to do that so that you can stay in the know and on top of our forecast as we go through the day. At this point, I think it is probably good for us to wrap up our live stream. It is 10:30 now on Friday morning. I'm going to go get ready for Local 5 News Midday, which begins at 11 a.m., and we'll have updates there for you as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe today. Remember, this is not the biggest snow event for Des Moines by any means, or for Central Iowa. In fact, I don't think it's that big of a deal for Central Iowa. However, the impacts are still there. Any bit of snow can cause slick conditions on the roadways. We saw yesterday morning just a tiny bit in a short period of time, and we had accidents everywhere. We don't want that to happen tonight into tomorrow morning. So hopefully you're prepared, slow down, and stay safe later on this evening.